Hey, feeling good, like I should. When in dark, walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday bed.
Welcome back, everybody. Happy Sunday. You are listening to Whatever Works on KCAA, 1050 AM and Express, 106.5 FM, the stations that leave no listener behind. I am your co-host, Kyle Kerrigan. Sam is running a little bit late, but we have a super special guest today. His brother was on, I think, last year or a year and a half ago. This is Iverson, Mr. Iverson Crank.
Yo.
I've been wanting to have you on for a long time, actually, because, we're both kind of extroverted. We're both, we yappers.
Yeah.
And so, so how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. Thank you for having me on.
Good. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, just to kick it off, my name is Iverson. I was born in Rhode Island, California. Rhode Island of the United States, out on the East Coast. I'm a little nervous. It's my first time doing a podcast.
Yeah.
I spent a couple years out there on the East Coast, growing up a little bit, dealt with a lot out there, and then came out to the West Coast. It's a little more open-minded out here, so it was nice. I've been in California now almost officially 20 years, so it's been pretty fun.
Okay, so you spent pretty much your whole childhood and grew up in Rhode Island.
Rhode Island, Virginia, mostly. Okay. About 9 years in Virginia as well. Yeah.
Gotcha. So how's life like growing up on the East Coast versus the West Coast? Like,
East Coast is definitely a little more fast paced.
Okay.
People a lot more straightforward, a lot more assertive, a lot more like, hey, let's go.
Gotcha.
Especially up in the New England area. Down the South in Virginia, people still have that mentality of being a bit more straightforward, but you can definitely tell there's a bit of a separation.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a little bit more country, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. My dad's from Massachusetts.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, he still has the accent. It's kind of funny, but he used to talk about childhood all the time, how it's so much different. And there is the man of the hour, Mr. Sam Works.
Since we're on right, I would have been here on time, but I'm walking with a limp, so just like that little walkway was, yeah. Anyways, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
You're good. My headphones in a second here.
Yeah.
All right. You dressed to impress, brother?
Oh,
Yeah.
Is it because it's Sunday or?
No, I got work later, so just want to always be prepared.
I see. What do you do?
I work in restaurants, so I'm a lead right now at one of the restaurants in the casino.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Is that where, did Solomon hook you up, or did Kyle hook you up, or who got the job first?
No, actually, I've been at that casino on and off for about 10 years now, so I was working there before both of them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I actually met Solomon because he trained me at the tech position, and then I met Iverson later. But yeah, no, and then you guys have another family member that works there too.
Yes, yeah, our step grandmother, yeah. She's a dealer.
Wow.
She's dope.
She's a dealer?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
No, she's super dope. She's super dope.
Looks
yeah.
like that's at Yamava, right?
Yeah.
Man, the casino takes care of you guys, huh?
Mhm.
That's really cool. So why were you off and on that?
I just left just so I could get a little more experience in the food and beverage industry. I've been doing it now for 17 years, both front of house and back of house. So don't get me wrong, my first front of house job was there at the casino at one of the steakhouses, the fine dining steakhouse they call it the Pines. I just wanted to get myself more front of house experience rather than just fine dining, so I can get myself used to, just so when someone does come to me and I'm training them, I can't just say, oh, I've only done fine dining. I've worked pretty much in any type of venue you can think of, from fast food to cafe to gastropub to just sushi even, just learning as much as I can.
Which one's your favorite?
The Pines.
Yeah.
I'll never let go of the Pines.
Are we talking about the money or are we talking about the people? What's going on here?
Both. A good chunk of the staff there I trained myself, so I like to, give a shout out to them. They're really great guys and girls as well. Some of them I've even lived with. Some of them, I've gone through different countries with, so it's always been a really great experience being with them.
Wow, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what the casino does for everyone? Just like brings everyone together and like takes care of them?
I mean, in
Yeah.
essence, thousands of employees. So yeah, it's almost like one big huge family.
That's pretty crazy.
You have to be a family because it's a point system.
Yeah.
You can't spend time with the actual family.
So what were you guys talking about before I came on the air?
Oh, just he gave an introduction about his life, how he grew up in Rhode Island and Virginia.
Yeah, before I came out to California.
How I never heard anyone talk about Rhode Island or Virginia before. How's those states?
Rhode Island is basically like a miniature just city, like the whole place itself. Like a lot of people don't realize this, but the population is huge. There's more people in Rhode Island than there is in Wyoming, and Wyoming is almost 20, 30 times the size. Yeah.
We're talking about Wyoming. There's probably more animals there than people.
Probably. Yeah. So no, it's a really great place. I know Providence is the capital, but I love Cranston. It's where a lot of my family has been, and they haven't really left. They've been there almost 70 years now. So it's pretty great.
And what made you want to come out here?
It's just family stuff. We ended up moving out here just to be closer to our dad, and it's been 20 years now. And to be honest, I don't think I would care to leave. I like it. I enjoy it. I love to go visit the East Coast consistently. I love talking about being from there. I'll always hold myself as being an East Coast guy, especially the way I talk, the way I move. A little alcohol in me, my accent comes out. So.
And they're like, "You're not from around here, are you?" Like, no, I'm not. No. I went to New Jersey, or maybe it was Maine, because my sister, she's in the Coast Guard, and that's where she graduated. I think it was Maine. Oh, okay. It was in Maine, but we stayed in New Jersey because they're like side by side. And we went into this town, and it was like a ghost town. It was like towards the winter. It was in the winter. I think it was like November or something. And the city's only populated during the summer. It's only like a summer city. And so it looked haunted, bro. Like even the water parks, like everything was closed. The hotels, restaurants, there's only like 20% capacity of like workers and like bars, like only like 2 bars in the whole city.
Wow.
And it was just like eerie, you're driving around a whole ghost town going through it. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah,
it gets cold up there.
Yeah, it is.
I'll tell you what was a trip. Timmy, actually, Michael, Marco, we all went during COVID to LA. This was like a week after lockdown, and we took the scooters, like the Lime scooters, and we were zipping through the streets. We didn't see anybody driving. It was such a weird sight.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very unusual.
Yeah, it was almost like we weren't in LA, but we were in LA, but
that's crazy.
It was such.
You talking about the lockdown before, like after COVID hit?
Yeah, like
a week after, right?
Yeah, it was like April.
Wow.
When we went, April 2020.
Dang, that's awesome.
Yeah.
The last time I went to Los Angeles, obviously it was heavily packed, and I had my sister on the scooter, little Lime scooters, and we're hitting the sidewalk or the side street. And okay, so a little backstory. But anyways, we're going down the sidewalk, and someone dropped a bag of something. It was like heavy. It was dense. Right in front of us, it just boom, just smacked the sidewalk. We like went around it. We like looked up, and like, someone's just dropping stuff off like 5-story buildings. It was crazy. But my grandma, she lives in Saudi Arabia, which is like the Middle East, right? And she was like, "Oh, the news, they always show how horrible LA is, like all the homeless and all the crazy stuff." And so she came out to visit, and they're in LA. That's why me and my sister were there. And my mom was taking her around everywhere except for like all the homeless areas,
Oh yeah,
And she was like, "LA's still nice, like LA, like the news lies." And my mom was like, "No, I'm just not taking you to like the horrible areas." Yeah, it was pretty funny. And every city has their own, spots. Whether it's like the nice side of town or like the bad side of town. And I remember one time I was in San Diego, and it was the like dirt bike racing, and they had it at the stadium. And I was running late, and I parked far because I was obviously running late. They didn't have any parking. And it was late at night. It was probably like 9 p.m., so it was dark. And I went down the street, and on both sides was just like tents, just boom, 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 just like homeless people. Yeah. And I'm walking right in the middle. And I didn't feel safe, so I just started sprinting, and it was like the whole street. You just see one guy just running down that street. It's pretty wild. So I had my little fair share with homeless people in my life. So
oh yeah,
I actually had one who threatened me and my buddy.
Oh yeah, that'll happen to you.
It happens a lot. Well, because we were little troublemakers back in the day, and we were at the beach, and funny story. I guess I'm gonna tell it on the air, but I hope my mom or none of my family members are listening.
Oh, your
so-
mom's listening.
Yeah. Joe, this might be a good story if you want to listen in on this one. So I was really young, and we're at the beach, and this is when I used to smoke weed. I don't do that no more. And we're like, oh, we're trying to like, pick up weed. And so we're looking, we're asking people, they kind of all blew us off, and we're really young, at that time. And then, me and my boy, we smelled it. We're like, oh, we smell weed. Like someone has it. And we see a group of people. Half of them are homeless, but they're all like bunched up in like this spot right off the beach line. And we're like, all right, let's just, go see what they're up to. And we saw one of them was a veteran. And we're like, hey, what's up, guys? Like, da-da-da-da. And then we're like, oh, thank you for your service. And then one of the homeless guys is like, give him 20 push-ups. And we're like, all right, for sure. Like, we're honored to, So me and my boy, we started doing push-ups. And we started to show off a little. We started doing like clap push-ups, in front of these guys. Did our push-ups, felt good, and I was like, hey, like, do you guys know where we can, like, pick up any weed? Like, And one of the homeless guys was like, how much are you looking for? And I told him how much. He's like, all right. And he grabs, like, an empty bag of cuties. Like, the cuties bag? It's like a net. He grabs that and puts, like, a rock in it and holds it in his hand. He was like, follow me. And it was him and the veteran guy who was like this old, just like, he was really cool, bro. He was very subtle. He was like old dude. He was like, follow me and we'll, take care of it. I was all right. And he looked at me and my boy and he looked at us. He goes, are you guys cops? And we're like, no, dude, we're like 16. Like, we're not cops. And he's like, are you sure? We're like, yeah. He's all right. So we started walking and like, he had the rock on his right hand. And I was on his left side. So I was like, I'm going to move on the opposite side of him. I'm going to stay next to the veteran dude because he seems harmless. That guy seems aggressive. And then we're walking up the street. And then he comes back. He's like, I'm asking one more time, are you guys cops? And we're like, bro, no, we're not cops, dude. And granted, we kind of did look like we just had the haircut. We had aviators on. And we're kind of buff, when we were young. So I can see why he thought it. But anyways, he comes around and he's like hits this telephone pole with the rock. He's like, you think that'll do some damage? We're like, yeah. Like, but I don't want you hitting me, So we come up like 2 blocks and then we get to this bench. He's like, all right, now have a seat. And I look at the bench and there was like jam or like something on the bench or like something nasty. I was like, he's like, have a seat. I was like, nah, stand. He's like, have a seat. And like me and my boy looked at each other like, all right. So we like sit down on the bench. He leaves for like 5 minutes, and we still have that veteran dude with us. And then he comes back, and he has the stuff. And I was like, okay, cool, And then we just trade off. I was like, all right, thank you. And then he's like, you have to smoke it right here. Like, out in public. And I was like, dude, what? You're crazy. And then we told him, like, well, we don't have anything to smoke it out of, And he pulls out, like, this dirty pipe. I was like, oh, my gosh, bro. Like, he was, like, forcing us to smoke it. To like to prove that we're not cops or whatever the case may be. And he kept threatening us, and then eventually we did everything, and I had to get out of there as quick as possible, But people around us, they're cool. Like, there's a guy who was walking, he's like, hey, can I get a hit of that? I'm like, why do you guys want to do this right now? Like, all this crazy stuff, But never again will I ever do that, because it was just like, I trusted him for one. Like, you can't be trusting strangers like that, especially things like that. And it just, everything turned out okay, but it just wasn't good for anyone, So
Yeah.
that's my homeless story.
Damn.
What? You guys want to top that or what?
Yeah, there was a time we went to a Beaumont party, and we were picking up weed, and my homeboy Tim Alanis, I don't know if you ever met him, but he went to high school with us. And we were picking up weed, and he's like, we're just going to pick up like 10 grams and you come home.
10 grams.
And it was like,
That's a lot of...
which was whatever at the time. I was smoking like half an ounce at the time a day.
Jeez, Kyle, how do you know you did that?
Yeah. And so we went to go, and he comes out with 3 pounds from the house.
3 pounds?
And this was like heavy cops to the area. And he's like, we got 3 pounds of weed. I said, 10 grams, bro. I said, I'm not putting 3 pounds of weed in my car because my tags were expired. My seatbelts didn't work.
Oh my gosh.
So we're not doing that. So he had to call somebody else to pick up the 3 pounds. And then somebody else comes out with like Coke. And I'm like, bro, we're out.
What?
Yeah. This was like when we were 17. This was at a house party. And
Jeez.
so, yeah. And then he's going around to everybody asking if we want to bump. Like, just random people. I'm just like, no. Like,
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things leaving LA was just every party I went to, someone had something.
Yeah.
And I was so happy to get away from that.
They had everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Nonstop.
No,
Oh.
it's horrible. I remember the last time I went to a party, and I remember it was my last time because I went there and I realized something. It's either like you're either acting super stupid and making a fool of yourself,
Yeah.
or you're the person watching people being stupid and making a fool of themselves. And I remember half the time back in the day, I was the person making a fool of myself. But at that party, I was the one watching them. And I was like, I'm never, like, it was an eye opener for me.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I never went to another party, like house party like that, you know?
Yeah, if I'm ever going out, like, it's people that I know, people, you know.
It's a good time.
Yeah, I'm never getting secondhand invited again, like, because then, like, you end up being like the only person there that you know,
Yeah.
which is fine. You mingle, you talk to people, but then you find out people that are sketchy, and it's like it's not worth it.
No, it's
Yeah.
definitely not. And I used to go out all the time, and I never partied in my city, like the city of Ukaipa. I always went to other cities because
See, I never did that.
I never partied in Ukaipa. I always went to
Yeah.
like Beaumont or Highland or Redlands. And the reason being is because like Ukaipa was small, especially back then. I'm not gonna party with people I already know. I mean, that was like the
See.
mentality. I like to mingle.
I was the opposite.
I like to mingle. I like
Yeah.
to like meet new people, and then it was just like it's a good time. Lots of fun doing that. I actually feel kind of bad because I was never the type of person to like record or like take pictures and stuff like that, even though I really should have.
Yeah.
But I still do have like a few videos and stuff on my Snapchat. I'm like, oh my gosh, like that was me back in the day.
Yeah, it's
Super
always those
crazy.
Snapchat reminders.
The
Keep
Snapchat reminders.
posting,
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Kyle, do you remember this? And it's like
7 years ago,
yeah,
and it's just you like pounding a ball.
yeah, it's something completely stupid. Like,
Yeah.
I can't believe I did that.
Yeah, but luckily I have been like watched over by God and like the
Yeah.
angels because there's so many times where I, should have been in trouble for it,
Oh, for sure.
and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's not cool, but I'm very happy that nothing turned out.
We had this
bad.
conversation the other day, how like a lot of our friends just didn't make it,
Yeah.
and it's like sometimes you sit and think, why me? Why did I? And then other times you go around and you're like, well, maybe it's because I'm trying to help other people, and
What is a question that you frequently ask yourself?
ooh,
We'll start with you, Iverson.
And when in regards to what?
And just your own self-conscious when you like reflect. I'm sure you do some reflecting, right?
All the time.
You look like a
All
guy
the
who
time.
does self-reflecting. What is there a common question that you ask yourself, not day by day, but throughout your life?
Well, going back to what you guys were talking about right now, just about how sometimes we get that second chance, sometimes we get an opportunity to kind of we make it past some type of incident that we shouldn't have really gotten a chance to make it past, but we did. So I always ask myself, what is it going to take? Like, what's my limit? What's kind of the barrier? So I got a story for you guys for now.
Okay.
If you would do me the justice. So this was during my LA time in my 20s, and I had just back then, I worked graveyard shifts, so I would get off at sometimes like at 4 a.m., 6 a.m., depending on the day. This time I got off a little early at 4, so I said, hey, after hours place, went and had a bunch of drinks. Got home safe, everything was fine, but yeah, I did this thing all the time when I would get home around 7 a.m. I would drink until my roommate got up because he had that normal 9 to 5. He'd get up, get ready, and then by 8 he would come down. We'd watch maybe an episode or 2 of whatever show we were watching. But this time I was just drinking and he wasn't getting up, and so I just said, okay, I'll just keep drinking, wait till he gets up. Finally, around I think I passed out or blacked out around 8, 9 a.m.
Sunrise, baby.
I woke up at, I want to say it was 11 a.m. or noon almost, and I was just still a little drunk, like, oh man, I missed it, so. But we only had one driveway, so I always parked behind him at first, and then when he'd leave, I would pull my car out so he could leave, and then I'd pull all the way in, and then he'd block me in.
That's what I'm dealing with right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I call him. He's at work. I said, hey, man, because he's done this before where I've been too drunk to get back up, and so he'll move my car for me. And I apologize. I call him to apologize. Hey, man, listen, just want to say I'm sorry that you had to move my car again. He goes, what are you talking about? I was like, yeah, you moved my car. He goes, no, you moved your car. And I'm like, I did not move my car.
Whoa.
I don't remember at all. He goes, yeah, you moved, you waved, and then you parked.
And
I was like,
have a good day at work.
no. So I don't remember any of that. And that was the moment I told myself, okay, this is it. No, we got to stop. Just thinking I could just, because I always pride myself on being the DDD, the designated drunk driver, especially in my 20s. So, but I told myself, all right, this is it. If I'm going to really be a designated driver, let me actually do it. Do it for real. So that's something I always tell myself, in regards to what's my limit, what is it going to take for me to actually wake up one day and say, you know what, I really need to get my stuff together. So that was one of my biggest moments, especially with drinking.
See, and that's the thing. Sometimes it really takes people to be pinned up against the wall to change.
Yeah.
And I hate that because I'm going through that situation right now. Last year, I stopped smoking, I stopped vaping, I stopped all that, right? And I'm pretty stoked about it. And I was like, what's next? What's the next thing that I'm going to subtract from my life? And I was like, oh, drinking. I'm not going to be drinking anymore. Or eventually I would want to stop, And I tell myself, and I still be drinking, But it was until recently where I have a medical issue happening right now, and I can't drink at all. And it's now getting me to the point where I'm not going to be drinking anymore, But it took me until my back was up against the wall. And a lot of people's lives can change without needing that, one of my brothers, Timmy, he doesn't have a kid right now, but he told me, he was like, if I had a kid, it would straighten me up. I would it would level me up, I would save more money. I would do this, I would do that. I'm like, Timmy, it doesn't take for you to have a child to do that. You can do it, but it doesn't take, but a lot of people, and I'm one of them, that's usually what happens. It takes something to really press you to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And car salesmen, they make this joke where it's okay, how many cars have you sold this month? And he was 10. He's like, well, I want you to sell 50. And they're like, that's impossible. He was like, if your family's on the line, would it be possible? He's like, I can sell 50. He was like, 100 vehicles. He's like, that's crazy. He was like, oh, you're basically, I'm going to kill your family if you don't. And he will, he will sell 100 cars, But going back to that, knowing your limits and understanding that you don't have to have all that pressure, you know? And for you, it took you to black out and move a car. But before all that, you could have, that didn't have to be the case. And luckily you didn't crash your vehicle or you didn't, hit his car going in forward instead of reverse, things like that. And it's just crazy to me that we have these limitations, but they're all limited by our own minds, Yeah. So, Kyle, what's the question that you consistently ask yourself?
And the question I ask myself is, do I do enough for my parents? Because, I take care of both of them. My mom has Parkinson's, everyone knows, and everyone knows my dad, my co-host. And so, sometimes I sit there and wonder, what's the appropriate amount of social life should I have versus me spending as much time with my parents before I can't? That's the question that I always ask myself. And so, some days I go out, last night when I was Solomon, we saw Empire of the Sun. It was a really good time. And it took a long time for me to realize that I need days like that, too, you know. And so, you know, when I get the paperwork straightened out and I can get more people to take care of my parents, too, I can try to find that balance, you know, better. So I think that's the question I always ask myself, at least right now.
Yeah, the question I don't really ask myself like verbatim, but I do have like this thing in my head where like vaguely like I don't want to miss out like on certain things in my life, and the only reason is because I have missed out on certain things. So when I was in second or third grade, one of my friends, Andy, he died when he was in fourth grade from cancer. And I had to choose between go to science camp or go to his funeral. And it was a Wednesday. And I chose science camp. And I came back and they were like, you know what? They actually postponed the funeral so you can make it. Very grateful for that. But I remember he died on Sunday, and it was Saturday I saw him in the hospital, and I wanted to tell him, like, everyone misses you, you know?
Yeah.
But I didn't. And then that Sunday morning, my mom was like, she woke me up, and she was like, hey, Andy passed away. And so that's something that I missed. Another thing that I missed was my step-aunt, but she's my aunt. Like, her father, he recently died. And I was going to reach out to him, but I didn't, you know? So there's like certain things that I tell myself now, like, I know my life is on the line. Like, I know that I'm not immortal, and I can die almost any day. You know, like some people, like they can be like, oh, you know, live a healthy life. I can live to a certain age, but really it's like, okay, sometimes life takes its own course.
Yeah.
Me, I feel like my time's a little faster than others. And so, like, there's certain things I don't want to miss. And so I told my lady, you know, my dad wants to go to Florida Keys. And that's, like, something that where he always wanted to go. And I told myself, I was like, all right, I want to take him to the Florida Keys one day.
Yeah.
Like, that's on my bucket list. So his birthday's in April coming this year. And we didn't do anything for his 50th. He lives in Michigan. We didn't do anything for his 50th. So I'm going to call him soon, and I'm like, hey, let's go to Florida Keys. Because, like, really, who knows when I'll be able to do that. You
Right.
know what I mean? So it's like, I want to do that now. Like, that's one thing that I don't want to miss, you know? So, like, I always ask myself, like, what are some things that I can give that I should be doing? You know what I mean? Like, some people say, like, my niece, you know, she turned 6 last week. Blew my mind. I didn't know she was 6 years old. I thought she was like 4, you know?
Yeah.
Amelia.
Yeah, Amelia.
And like I missed birthdays. I've missed like gatherings and celebrations. Excuse me. And that's fine and all, you know, because I kind of pick and choose what's really important to me, you know? Like taking my dad to Florida Keys, like that's more important than like, I don't know, you know, something a little less settled than that, you know? So I always ask myself, like, what are the things that I can't miss out on, you know? So, and because of that, I give thanks every night before I go to sleep. So anyways, didn't want to be too touchy, but we are going to be taking a 5-minute break. It is the bottom half of the hour. You are listening to Whatever Works on KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM. We'll be right back in 5 minutes.
Hey, feeling good, like I should. When in Durga, walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best.
From the Bureau of Economic Geology, this is Earth Date. Picture in your mind a 1-gallon milk jug. Got it? Now imagine 12 of them lined up on a table. That's how much water the average American is carrying inside their body. 12 gallons. That's a lot of water. Every day we're exhaling water vapor, sweating or excreting water, and if we don't drink water or eat watery foods to replenish it, in as few as 3 days, we'd be dead. Water is very much a life or death issue to all humans and all living creatures. But for the most part, we take it for granted. Often when that happens, it's because we have an abundance of something. But do we really? Sure, we live on a blue planet. Look at a photo taken from space, and it's easy to see that 70% of the Earth is covered in water. Take a closer look, though, and you'll see that number is misleading. Water, even groundwater, is really just on the surface of Earth. Oceans may seem deep to us, but they're incredibly shallow. Just a sliver-thin veneer compared to the massive diameter of the Earth. As a matter of fact, all the water on the entire planet would fit into a sphere the width of Texas. And the fresh water that we depend on is less than 1% of that. Fresh water is indeed a precious resource, and a topic you'll hear a lot more about on Earth Date. I'm Scott Tinker, and thanks for listening.
Earth Date is produced by the Bureau of Economic Geology at the University of Texas at Austin. Earth Date is researched by Julie Hennings, written by Harry Lynch, and distributed by Mark Blunt and Casey Walker. For more stories, follow us on Facebook or visit earthdate.org.
Hi, I'm Lanny Swerdlow, and I'm back on KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM every Tuesday at 8 p.m. My show is Beyond Common Sense. It's Lanny Sense, featuring me, Lanny Swerdlow, KCAA's resident gay, Jewish, liberal, pot-smoking, race-mixing, left-handed atheist, an evangelical, fundamentalist, Christian, nationalist, worst nightmare, with subjects that no one else will touch in quite the same way. Every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on Express 106.5 FM, the Legacy 1050 AM, and live streaming on KCARadio.com.
And now, the voices of KCAA with an exciting announcement.
Want to hear NBC News or KCAA anywhere you go? Well, now there's an app for that.
KCAA is celebrating 25 years and our silver anniversary with a brand new app.
The new KCAA app is now available on your smart device, cell phone, in your car, or any place.
Just search KCAA on Google Play or in the Apple Store.
One touch and you can listen on your car radio, Bluetooth device, Android Auto, or Apple CarPlay.
Catch the KCAA buzz in your earbuds or on the streets, celebrating 25 years of talk, news, and excellence with our new KCAA app.
Just do it and download it.
KCAA, celebrating 25 years.
Come to Hooters, where there's no such thing as a party of one. Located with the 60 and the 215 meet in Riverside, near Moreno Valley. For more info, Google Hooters Riverside.
There's only one thing you think of when you think of Hooters. Wings.
Wait, what?
With more styles, better flavors, and fresher wings, you could only be in the original American wing joint. Get them smoked, bacon-wrapped, original style, and now introducing new roasted wings. Roasted crispy to seal in the flavor and seal out half the calories. One taste and you'll think of nothing else.
We'll see about that.
Come to Hooters, where there's no such thing as a party of one. Located with the 60 and the 215 meet in Riverside, near Moreno Valley. For more info, Google Hooters Riverside.
There's only one thing you think of when you think of Hooters. Hooters, the original American wing joint.
Hey, feeling good, like I should. When in dark, I walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best.
Welcome back, everybody. Happy Sunday. You're listening to Whatever Works on KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM. I'm your host, Sam Works.
I'm Kyle Kerrigan.
And we're here with Iverson.
Oh, and we're here with Iverson. All right. Like we said, everybody, we do bring a guest. We try to bring a guest every Sunday. Sometimes they flop, sometimes we flop. That's okay. But tonight we do have a guest. If you guys want to go back and listen in and learn a little bit more about Iverson, and you guys are just tuning in, you go back and you can go on KCAA, whatever works, on Spotify, YouTube, Apple
Wherever.
Music, wherever.
Farmers only.
What?
No, I'm just kidding.
And you guys can go back and listen to the first half of the show. This is the second half where we're going to break it down and have little Iverson speak up a little more, speak out, and get to know him a little bit more. We all know his brother, Solomon. He's a great guy. And so now we brought his brother on. So super excited to have you on. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
So, Iverson, you work in the food industry and all that stuff.
Yes.
What is like your end goal with your career or your life, or what would you like to see happen? What's your vision?
To be honest, my favorite thing about working in the food and beverage industry is the concept that everyone enjoys food. Like I haven't really run into people. There are people that are bougie about it. There are people that are not so bougie about it. It's one thing that brings us all together. Even for the people that specifically say that you can only cook certain things certain way. That's majorly my people. I like to be able to walk to them and say, I bet you I could change your mind. I bet you I could introduce you to something brand new, or I bet you I could introduce you to something that you might enjoy. You may just specifically choose not to eat it later, but you will enjoy it in this moment, because I like to communicate with the chefs that work in whatever kitchen I'm working for and just engage with them. Sometimes we do switch it up a little bit, usually when I'm eating my own food, most of the time I'll eat whatever's in front of me. Sometimes I'll edit it myself just to make it taste good, but I like to just enjoy whatever's in front of me for the most part, just really get into it.
Me and my lady, like, we told each other we should be food critics because it just happens like all the time. We go out to eat and we're just like, like overall, we'll give it an 8 or like a B+ or something, when it comes to like the presentation, the taste, the smell, the atmosphere, like everything. Like we put everything together, and it's just like that's kind of like our conversations when we go out, especially when it's like somewhere new. So you work at the Pines.
I used to work at the Pines.
Okay.
I got moved away because I had to go and fall in love. So I couldn't become leadership there because I was dating someone that works in the same venue as me, so can't be her boss. It's a conflict of interest. So I'm at another venue in the environment, or in the casino. I work at Serrano Vista Cafe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm helping just do the best I can to train the staff there, just kind of just get into the Forbes program. So the Forbes, what we're just trying to do to get the steps of service down, get used to using a tray more on the floor, get used to, serving from the left and clearing from the right, like different detail, like very, very upscale stuff like that.
What's the salt and pepper rule? Is it salt's always on the right, or what?
Salt and pepper rule? Don't think I've heard of that one.
Okay.
Like, let me see. Something that's like really annoying bougie rule is perfect example, pouring wine. You always never want to backhand the guest. So if, say, the guest is sitting there at the table, you always want to use your right hand to pour if the glass is on their right hand side, or even if it's on the left hand side, you never want to use your left hand to kind of cut in front of their face like that. Those are little details.
Interesting.
Yeah, Forbes it's an interesting thing. To be honest, to be 100% honest with you, I never truly enjoyed the concept of having someone else come in to judge the food. Like, if it's not good, just don't come back. Simple as that. If you really don't enjoy it, you can say your piece, say your whatever, but you could just not come back. And it's that simple.
Right. And don't you hate it how, for the most part, like on Yelp and stuff, like that's usually when people, like the majority of it is just like bad review, like it's every once in a while, like when you really when someone really loves that place, then they'll give a review, but typically like Yelp reviews are
it's
for
only
like
for bad reviews. They're just upset, and it's rarely ever about the food. They'll say something about the food in the end because they didn't like the food, but it's what happened. It's maybe the food came out too long, maybe the food we went to the wrong table, maybe the food
service or something.
Yeah, the service, the server didn't smile enough. Like whenever I see something like that, I'm like, that's crazy. I thought you came here to eat, not be not to we're on the radio. I don't want to get too graphic with it, but to not to get pleased in the most pleasurable way by something.
Right.
The concept of restaurants comes from the idea that the commoner would get a chance to go and be treated like a king and a queen because you yourself get to come into the venue, sit down, and someone, in essence, serves you. We are now, though, in 2,000 years later, and I just think that we kind of left that alone a little bit. We have a little more respect for our common man, you know. So, in essence, when you do go to a restaurant, of course, they're there to guide you, make sure that you have an amazing experience. But at the same time, they're there to alter your opinions about something. Have an open mind. If you come to a specific place, you want your specific meal, fine, no problem. But what I don't like is people that are both indecisive and picky. You can't come to a venue.
Oh, man.
You can't come to a venue and say, hey, I don't know what to get, but I don't want half the things on your menu. But you need to tell me what it is. If you don't tell me what it is, you're not doing a good job. It's like, that's crazy. Look, they should be able to explain the menu to you. Yes, I do believe that. And they should know the menu really well. But after 3 or 4 offers, you still haven't figured out what you wanted to eat, and you were the one that's hungry right now, doesn't seem like you would survive if this was a tough time. You know, say the zombie apocalypse. I feel like you might be one of the first ones out of here.
Yeah.
Just my personal, honest opinion. I'm sure there's a lot of servers that would agree with me on that.
So I'm a server. Actually, I just got off work. I work at the Tartan here in Redlands.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I love the Tartan.
And a lot of times, because some people don't like, certain things at the place. Looking at my girlfriend. Anyways, way to call her out. But, when people ask, like, oh, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And I don't say, like, oh, good to everything. Like, I had this one guy, and, like, literally everything that he asked, like, me personally, it is good. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, you're just saying that because you work here. You have to. I'm like, no, I'm being genuine. Like, those are my favorite items. Now, if you ask me about this, and, but I usually typically say, like, oh, it's not really as popular. Not that many people get it.
Yeah.
Or that's not really what we're known for. Like our coffee. We're not really known as like a coffee joint. You know what I mean? We're known for our steaks and we're known for our burgers. Actually, we got a certificate. As soon as you walk in, it's on the right-hand side where it says best burgers in the city, and that's from the city of Redlands.
Nice.
We're known for our burgers and steaks, and I try to help people out all the time, but I had this one server, he just kept messing up left and right. He's like freaking out. And there's some servers, like typically it's like women who like start to cry when they're like overstressed, Yeah. And I remember someone told me, and I carry it every day. They said, hey, you're just serving food. At the end of the day, like, don't worry about it. You're just serving food, like, so it's not like you're air traffic control trying to like you're not like gonna kill people or whatever. So like with me, it's like, all right, I don't even stress no more. Like I have a system, I follow my routine, and if I get overwhelmed, well, I just stick to the system and I just follow my routine. At the end of the day, like people are gonna wait because they're hungry, whatever. But it's like I haven't had really any complaints. When I first started serving, different story. So I was the server at Corky's in Yucaipa, and I bumped my way up. I was smooching around. But anyways, not like that. But so I became a server fairly quickly. And I just kept messing up left and right, And they pulled me to the side. My manager was like, hey, you're going to sign this paper. You're going to be on probation. And if you mess up one more time, we just can't have you as a server anymore. Like, that's how bad you've been messing up left and right, So I was like, all right, boom, boom, sign the paper. Did good that whole month until like it was literally the last day. Maybe it was like the day before. But I accidentally put a pie on someone's ticket. Okay, no big deal, but that's still a mess up. Like, you know what I mean? So I told the servers, I said, all right, I'm going to transfer you this pie. And I'll just come back later and I'll pay for it. All right? This was a Saturday night. And so that's exactly what I did. I came back that following night. I paid for the pie, and I was like, if I'm going to pay for this pie, I might as well get a slice of my own, So I got a slice of pie, and Corky's are known for, like, having the bakery, like, having the pies and stuff. And I'm not really a sweet tooth guy. But I get questions all the time. How's this pie? What's your favorite pie? This and this and this. And there's, like, 30 different pies. Like, I don't know. But I told myself from that day, I was like, you know what? I'm going to come back every Saturday night and I'm going to get a new slice of pie so I can try them all, give my personal opinion out. And it was called Pie Night. And like some people like tag along, like my friends or like some of the coworkers off work. Like it was just, I turned into this whole thing, you know? But yeah, that mess up really made something like special out of it. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
You know? And I tried all the pies. You know, I worked there for 2 years. Every Saturday, boom, 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 different pies.
That's a lot of pies too.
Yeah. I mean, once a week though, one slice, it's not bad.
Right.
You know, it's not like I'm just eating pies every day.
Yeah.
So I really got to figure out which ones I really liked. And then when people asked about them, I gave my personal opinion, you know. And again, like one way to get out of it is like saying like, oh, this one's popular or this one, you know, it's not as popular as this one, you know, things like that. So because you don't want to ever say something's bad, you know, especially at a restaurant you work at.
No. And a lot of guests will see the realism in your eyes when you describe it, and then that moment where we can connect like that, that's some of my favorite parts in working in a restaurant. Yeah. So no, absolutely, especially when you can really look at them and say, no, you can almost tell them like, no, shut up, this is what you're getting. I can just look at you. Now I'm in charge now of your whole dining experience.
So, speaking. Kyle, have you ever worked at a restaurant and stuff like that? Like,
yeah, no, I worked back at house. I was a sous chef.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask Iverson, like, two. Like, one, what's the most painful, like, worst experience that you've done, like, in working serving food, and then the most like awkward?
You know what? I got a perfect awkward story. I'll start with that one. So, I think my girl's watching too, so this is gonna be funny. I took my dad out because he came into town. He lives in LA, but he came to visit me and my brother Solomon a little while ago. We were here in Redlands. We went to this Italian restaurant called La Ristorante, something like that. Yeah. And great place, very chill. Made me feel like I was in a mafia movie. I was like, wow, okay.
That's kind of cool. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, all right. So we sat down. Everything was great. The server, she was great. She had to take a break. The breaker, it was a girl that I had gone on a date with.
Oh.
A couple years back. Yeah. And you know, I'll admit I didn't end the dating experience with her very cleanly. It was just kind of like the slow fade away, like, you know, I'm not really that interested, but I don't want to just straight up say it because I am friends with one of her friends.
Okay.
So
awkward. No, just kidding.
Yeah, no, she's literally meeting my dad and my brother, and I'm like, oh yeah, you know, and I didn't want to be rude, so I said, oh yeah, no, I do know her. This is her, and yeah, no, this is my father, and so I'm just introducing.
Wow.
So that to me was probably one of the most awkward. One of the toughest experiences, I think. It's always tough when you have just a guest who will come in and just demand the most because they're of a certain level. And, you know, especially at the casino, we give a lot of our like higher level guests just whatever they want to the most part. You know, we try to be nice. We try to be cordial to them. I always, you know, especially now as a lead, I have to be a little more cordial, use complete sentences with them. But they get really annoyed with me sometimes when I do use complete sentences instead of coming up to them and saying, nah, bro, it's all good. I actually speak to them very well, and it almost feels like to them it comes off as condescending. I'm like, and I always want to ask them, why me? They were speaking the exact same way as me, but why is it condescending when I speak that way? Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, they're threatening my job.
Yeah.
And I've had that happen more times than I care to count. And the time that it was the worst time was a time that all I did was correct the gentleman's description of it because he kept saying that there was blood on the steak. I'm like, there's actually not blood. It's a hemoglobin. Yeah. And it's the texture, the liquid that they use to transfer. Or
you want to put him on hold? Oh, go ahead.
No. Just ship. That's what they use, the liquid, and so it just keeps it fresh inside the packaging. You know, so when the steak comes out and then you cook it, yes, the liquid turns red due to the steak's color being red.
Yeah,
it's not blood. If it's blood, you could actually ingest it, get sick, and die.
Wow.
But that's what I did. I corrected. I said, no, unfortunately, that it's actually not blood, and I just corrected it. And he just lost it. How dare you tell me what's what and what's.
He's like, this is blood. I know what blood looks like.
And it was nuts. And I said, all right, so because I know how to do my job, because I know the details of what I'm describing to you more than you do. And I didn't say that to him, but just the correction, and he just immediately wanted to go to the highest of the highest of the highest just to prove me wrong. Because in that moment, he felt like he was belittled. And it wasn't because it was just some random kid. No, you know, we can all
Well, and we do have someone on hold. Let's put him through and see what's going on. Hello, you are now on KCAA Whatever Works. Do you have a question for us?
Yeah, I wanted to ask the host a random off-topic question. What is their favorite video game and why?
What?
Okay.
Which one, the co-host or all of us or who?
All of you. Jam, Kyle, and Iverson.
Okay, well, we'll
Okay.
start on that end because
My favorite video game of all time, probably because it's nostalgic. Ratchet and Clank Going Commando. The second Ratchet and
The
Clank.
second one, yes.
Yeah, that's probably my all-time favorite. Had a lot of good memories with that. So yeah, it's mine.
Tagging along to that, it's not as old, but it's definitely because it's the second one, and it was really, really great. And I spent probably the most hours of any game, period, on that one, and that's going to be for me Gears of War 2.
Oh, nice, Gears of War.
Oh yeah.
Multiplayer was a match.
We were very disgusting on that video game. I don't want to think about that time.
Mine would probably have to be Just Dance 3. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, hey, switch it up on us. Absolutely.
I'm just kidding. No, Just Dance was pretty cool. No, I'm a big fan of Call of Duty World War II.
Okay.
That's my thing. You know, growing up, it was always military stuff, and World War II was obviously one of the most, like, I mean, it's not like the bloodiest, but the biggest impact for sure in history for probably for the world, you know. And so like we're always learning the history of World War II, and then Black Ops, it was so bad, or GTA 5. Okay, so those are the two things, Call of Duty or GTA 5. Like I don't even play video games, but if you put me on those two, like people will be like, dude, you've been playing for hours, like it's been a whole day, you know. Like I don't know, it's for those two things. And actually when I was recently like hurt and like hospitalized, whatever, I downloaded Call of Duty Mobile. I hated myself for that because I was loving it, you know. And I was like, I should be reading, I should be like journaling, you know. But that's some of the things that really distract me. Like I try not to be on video games because it'll really just take control of my life. What about you? What's your favorite video game and why?
I think I love the Halo franchise overall the most. And so I'd probably have to say Halo 2.
Halo 2.
Yeah, I was mostly a story player, you know, before multiplayer became big. So that was the first video game I played start to finish, like on my own.
The Double Needler.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
dual wielding. Yeah, I played all the games, but out of all of them, I think Halo 2 is my favorite.
So I heard that Xbox is not coming out with any new ones anymore.
Halo?
Really?
No, Xbox, like the console, like they're not doing any more consoles, like any newer Xboxes. And really, like all.
Push. Sorry.
Go ahead.
They were trying to push like everything's a console. You can play on your TV, through the Fire Stick, and your phone. I guess they're really trying to push that just to get Game Pass because it's on PC and console now. So
Yeah, because
play
like
on any platform.
the PS has almost every game you can imagine, and like some you can't have access to for the Xbox. But like the Xbox had Halo, and I feel like that's really what kept them alive for so many years. You know,
Halo, Gears of War.
Yeah.
Xbox exclusive.
Exactly. You know, Forza's pretty cool.
Yeah, Forza.
You know? But yeah, I heard they stopped continuing. The what?
Oh,
Ghost
Recon
Recon?
Advanced Warfare.
Okay, Okay, Ghost Recon. That's a tough one, dude, because that was hard to play. It's so difficult for those ones. I mean, like Call of Duty was so easy. That's why I liked it. You know, it's a little more complex.
Yeah.
So, anyways, hey, thank you for chiming in, asking those questions. We do have like a minute left on the show. Iverson, if you want to say any last words before you die. No, I'm just kidding. Anything before the show ends?
No, I just want to appreciate you guys for having me on. I really loved getting a chance to share some of my insights, especially about the food and beverage industry.
Yeah,
cool, man. I hope one day you start your own restaurant. That'd be cool. Maybe one of these days.
A lot of stress, but yeah.
All right, you guys, listen to Whatever Works on KCAA. I'm Sam Works.
I'm Kyle Kerrigan.
And this is Iverson Frank.
All right, you guys. We'll see you guys next week with a new guest every Sunday at 4. Take care.
Every day can be a better day despite the challenge. All you gotta do is leave it better than you found it.
Miss your favorite show? Download the podcast at kcaaradio.com.
You've eaten lots of great food and not so great food at restaurants. Cowboy Burgers in Fontana and now in Arlington and Riverside will fast become one of your favorites with their delicious, mouth-watering burgers and breakfast burritos. Cowboy Burgers and Barbecue also serves fantastic smoked barbecue baby back ribs, tri-tip, chicken, pulled pork sandwiches, as well as lunch and dinner plates. Everything is made from scratch, including their delicious side dishes like coleslaw, potato salad, barbecue beans, and much, much more. Check out their rich, decadent chocolate brownies.
Hi, I'm food critic Alan Borgen, and you can dine in, take food out, or have them cater your next special event. I highly recommend Cowboy Burgers and Barbecue at their new location at 5573 Arlington Avenue in Riverside. Just look them up on the internet. That's Cowboy Burgers and Barbecue. Happy eating!
And perfect for the holidays, Cowboy Burgers and Barbecue is also available for catering. That's Cowboy Burgers and Barbecue in Fontana and now in Riverside on Arlington.
Tahibo Tea Club's original Pure Pau Diarco Super Tea helps build red corpuscles in the blood, which carry oxygen to our organs and cells. Our organs and cells need oxygen to regenerate themselves. The immune system needs oxygen to develop, and cancer dies in oxygen. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system. And it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TahiboTeaClub.com. Tahibo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E, B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea, and then the word club. The complete website is TahiboTeaClub.com. Or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, TahiboTeaClub.com.
Car Recycling in Fontana reminds all drivers when you take to the road, remember those 3 C's of safety. That's caution, courtesy, and above all, a little common sense. Safe and sober driving is everyone's responsibility. This message courtesy of Car Recycling at 3800 East Andy Devine in Kingman. Call Car Recycling at 928-757-9888. That's 928-757-9888. That's where Trish and the staff are wishing everyone happy and safe driving.
The caring staff at Mac Flavor Ingredients reminds everyone to please take the opportunity to give blood. By doing so, you may save the life of a friend, child, elderly person, surgery patient, or an accident victim. So give blood. It's safe, simple, and saves lives. This important reminder is a courtesy of Mac Flavor Ingredients in Riverside, where they care about the safety and welfare of our community. Be a silent hero, and if you can, give the gift of life. Give blood.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
NBC News Radio, I'm Chris Coraggio. It's shaping up to be the busiest Thanksgiving for air travel on record. TSA expects to screen 18.3 million airline passengers between Tuesday and the Monday after Thanksgiving, a 6% increase over the same period last year. Overall, AAA predicts that a record 80 million people will travel at least 50 miles by car or air for the Thanksgiving holiday. Forecasters say travelers, particularly in the eastern U.S., should be prepared for possible delays due to strong winds across the region. A new poll shows most voters approve of the job President-elect Trump is doing as he prepares to take office. Sarah Lee Kessler reports.
A CBS poll released Sunday found nearly 60% of voters saying they approve of Trump's handling of his presidential transition. 41% said they don't approve. Overall, nearly a third of Americans say they're happy Trump was elected. 41% of Republicans expressed optimism about his presidency, while just 11% of Democrats felt the same way.
The UN says countries around the world have agreed to a new $300 billion plan to fight climate change after weeks of intense negotiations, often interrupted by walkouts, boycotts, and political division. A deal was reached yesterday at the COP29 Climate Change Conference in Azerbaijan. Wealthy countries, including the U.S. and European nations, have agreed to the annual funding pledge with the goal of reaching at least $1.3 trillion by the year 2035. The effort is aimed at helping developing countries cope with the effects of the climate crisis. A popular grocery store condiments food company is recalling a type of tortilla strips possibly contaminated with wheat. Sugar Foods issued the recall for the Santa Fe-style package of tortilla strips branded as gluten-free and sold by the brand Fresh Gourmet. The recall was released by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration on Friday. Packages of the tortilla strips with an expiration date as late as June 20th, 2025 may have undeclared wheat, which is not listed on the ingredient label. I'm Chris Coraggio, NBC News Radio.
One of the best ways to build a healthier local economy is by shopping locally. Teamster Advantage is a shop local program started by Teamster Local 1932 that has brought together hundreds of locally owned businesses to provide discounts for residents who make shopping locally their priority. Everything from restaurants like Corky's to fun times at SB Raceway and much, much more. If you're not currently a Teamster and you want access to these local business discounts, contact Jennifer at 909-889-8377, extension 224. Give her a call. That number again is 909-889-8377, extension 224.
This important time-sensitive message is brought to you by this station's generous sponsor, George Litchfield Associates, who has important Medicare information for all current and future Medicare recipients about some big changes happening. Medicare Clarified. Medicare is a nonprofit consumer service organization.
It's more important than ever to review your Medicare plan for 2025 from October 15th through December 7th. To find out if you're in the right plan for you, people are calling 951-769-0005. 951-769-0005. A popular and local Medicare plan is improving. Others are raising copays and adding deductibles. Biggest changes in the Medicare drug program in 15 years.
We thank George Litchfield and Litchfield Insurance for their generous support of this radio station.
Our sponsor, Pacific Vintage Development of Redlands, is family-owned and operated, serving the Inland Empire with over 20 years of quality and pride. Call the pros at 951-992-8072. Again, 951-992-8072. Always looking forward to seeing you. That's Pacific Vintage Development.
The local business named Get Loaded Guns and Ammo is a sponsor of this station. Located off the 215 and Barton Road in Grand Terrace, serving the Inland Empire and surrounding areas. Woman-owned and veteran-operated, law enforcement dealer, fully stocked. They have NRA-certified firearms training classes you can attend, supporting all your Second Amendment rights. The local business named Get Loaded Guns and Ammo is a sponsor of this station.
Located in the heart of San Bernardino, California, the Teamsters Local 1932 Training Center is designed to train workers for high-demand, good-paying jobs in various industries throughout the Inland Empire. If you want a pathway to a high-paying job and the respect that comes with a union contract, visit 1932trainingcenter.org to enroll today. That's 1932trainingcenter.org.
KCAA. KCAA.
Are you graduating high school soon and wondering what to do next? College is one option, but why not consider the high-paying jobs made possible by union power? Labor Union Teamsters Local 1932 has opened a training center to get you into the high school to high-paying job pipeline. You'll learn all the skills needed to excel in opportunities across industries. Visit 1932trainingcenter.org to enroll today. That's 1932trainingcenter.org.